And one. Welcome to Jon Ferrian Live. We're here one more time on Sunday night. Is it June now? Holy smokes, it's now June 2021. And boy, do we have an amazing episode for all of you tonight. We've got the Case brothers in the house. We got Drew and Aaron Case here from Stable Mountain Rentals. They're going to be with us here in just a few minutes. Unfortunately, it sounds like our buddy Ryan Searle was not going to be able to make it tonight. We were hoping to be able to squeeze him in, but he had a business emergency. Is there such thing as a farming emergency come up? There is, and it was, and so it's important. He's not here tonight. We apologize for that, but he will be here watching, I'm sure, towards the end of the show. He'll be in here and checking it out. And we'll have him on some other day. If you came in to see Ryan, just know we'll have him on another day in the future. But while you guys are here dropping in, so please drop in the comments where you're watching from. Tia Smith understands and knows exactly what to do. She's already done it. She is here watching from Santa Barbara, California. I love it, the fact that Tia is here every week. She doesn't even snowmobile, but she loves this show. She is like one of our #1 fans. She's here watching every single week. So make sure everybody, you guys come in. And Kyle P. Franklin, Mr. Truckee, California is here from the Tahoe area. Lake Tahoe Snowmobile Club is in the area. By the way, just get in here, drop it in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. And just for sharing, by sharing the show tonight, you are going to be in to win a mid-layer jacket from Fly Racing Snow. So amazing jacket. I literally wore this jacket today when I was out jeeping. It's amazing. It matched my beautiful red Fly hat, my beautiful red Fly shirt. If you guys can't tell, I'm pretty excited. The swag bag from Fly Racing showed up at my house this week, and I got some new digs, so showing them off tonight. Hope you guys enjoy them. But we're going to bring Ryan and Drew on here in just a minute. So go ahead and share this out, and you guys will be entered in to win a beautiful mid-layer jacket, $80 value. It's an amazing jacket. I love it. So we actually got a couple of them. I got a black one. I got a red one. So, all right, you guys ready? We're going to go live here in 3, 2, and 1. Aaron and Drew, how's it going?
Great. How's it going, John and crew?
Very good, very good. So I got to ask the question, you guys have the same last name, you're brothers, and, one's got short hair, one's got long hair, but are you identical twin brothers? Probably not, no?
No, John.
He wishes.
Drew wishes he was as beautiful as Drew wishes he was as beautiful as Aaron, or Aaron, do you wish you were as beautiful as Drew?
I think the elder brother is wishing he was as good looking.
All right.
I'm taller, I'm better looking, I have better facial hair.
So let's just get right in. Let's just get right into this sibling rivalry, because we didn't even talk about this or prep you guys for it. So I'm just throwing this at you. But sibling rivalry, your entire lives you've been growing up. What's the one-upmanship about? Is it about who's the fastest? Is it who's the best looking? What's the story? What's the sibling rivalry all about between the two of you guys?
Probably all of the above, John. Honestly.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'd summarize it as we really don't come at each other who's the fastest. It's more just this unspoken who's the toughest.
Okay.
And so we all of us play the tough guy with the other guy.
Is it like arm wrestling competitions, or is it just who can hit the jump the hardest or something like that?
A little bit. It's kind of a little bit of everything, I think.
Well, how old were you when you had your first arm wrestling contest, Drew?
Well, we've been wrestlers, most of it. We've wrestled and roughhoused quite a bit through our days. So it's usually who's not whimpering in pain, I guess, is who's the winner.
And who had the first broken bone from this epic sibling rivalry?
I don't know. Aaron's probably had more broken bones than me, but it's probably been from snowmobiles.
Wasn't from your fault though. You guys didn't hurt each other.
No, it wasn't my fault. Yeah, no, it was his own fault.
Well, Drew and Cody have the most battle wounds. You're missing a finger because of me.
Oh,
Cody,
that's true.
Missing finger because of Aaron for the win. For the win.
Did you see it? Hey, he didn't listen, man. I said, get your finger out of there. I'm gonna spin this chain. You should move your finger, and he was like. He just said no, and I was like, okay, I'm doing it. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All my life. And that was at 5 years old, John.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen my two children have slammed each other's fingers in the doors in the house by accident. So I know how that stuff can happen. So it's always a hot mess, especially at that young age. So
I got him back with a weed eater, so it's all right.
All
Yeah.
good. All good. Yeah, I'm gonna just real quick before we get too deep in the show, I'm gonna just remind both of you guys to make sure
Right.
you're centered in the camera, because Aaron, you're slightly off a little bit. I think
Oh, did
Drew,
I
you're maybe
shimmy?
you shimmied a little bit, and so because it's hard, just so everybody knows, when we do these Skype calls, they've got this big wide screen there, but by the time it comes to you guys live here on the show, it's a nice narrow view. So you guys are in good shape now. So awesome. Well, let's for the sake of some high level introduction. So Drew, you've not ever been on the show before, so let's start with you. Just give us a quick little introduction. Who's Drew Case, and a little bit about yourself.
Drew, I'm been married for 16 years. Hopefully that's right. 4 kids. I run a lawn care business, and I decided I wasn't busy enough, so teamed up with Aaron and Ryan and started the Stable Mountain business, and just trying to do something really fun that we enjoy doing and kind of helping other people do that. So just a ton of history there, but that's kind of what it is in a nutshell, I guess, John.
Very good, very good. How about Aaron? Give us a little background on you for
Not
those who
not as
may.
much fame and glory as Aaron and Ryan, but
Well, that's tough. I mean, when you got hair like
Yeah,
Aaron
of
does,
course.
I mean, you pretty much become the center of attention everywhere you go. So we can't miss
that's
that.
true.
So
I miss
Good
my
or
really
bad,
sweet
right?
beard that we had last time, though. I don't
yeah,
have that anymore. I
yeah. I
miss
think
it. My face really likes the sun and the air, though.
yeah.
It was missing it.
You looking good? Did you dress up just for the show, Aaron, or did you just come from a wedding today? I heard.
I did come from a wedding and had some church stuff going on today, so I took care of all of that. It was mostly laziness. I had a few seconds, and I was like, I should go probably throw a shirt on or a
All
hat
good.
or something. And then it was just like, oh, wait, I'm late. It's time to go.
Well, it's good to know you didn't just dress up for me, because we know that's not worth it, doing. So
I think partially, I think I wanted to impress you guys. And so I think that's why I was lazy.
that's all
It was
good,
like
man.
it gave me an excuse to fancy it up for you guys.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So good time. So Aaron, you've been on the show before with Ryan. You guys, as
Yes,
back at the
sir.
beginning of the season, you guys talked about Stable Mountain Rentals was a kind of a new project at the time that you were just getting ready to take off on, and
Yeah.
I think why don't we touch on that first, and then we're actually going to come. We'll kind of just do some high level, maybe some catch up on where we're at with Stable
Yeah.
Mountain
Come back
Rentals and
to
what
it.
you did.
Detail later.
Yeah. So well, because we have a story we want to share with Drew first. You guys want to cover that first, or do you want to cover Stable Mountain Rental first? I'll let you guys choose.
I'll talk about Stable just real quick, just
Sure.
like you said, that kind of high level look.
Yeah.
Ryan and I came to you and talked to you about the business that we were starting, and then we were going to focus on having snowmobiles that were built so that we would be happy. And that worked out really great. The snow was pretty late getting to us, and so we had to hold our fleet, our stable, until about December. But as soon as December came, we started renting out pretty fast, and then word started to spread that we had the snowmobiles and they were set up. We were really easy to work with. We
Yeah.
delivered or just did whatever we needed to do. We even had gear that you could rent from us. And so if you forgot your helmet or forgot a pair of goggles or whatever, we could help you out and get you covered. And that all worked really well. By the time February got here, shoot, it was mostly busy with just word of mouth stuff. People would call us and be like, hey, I talked to so-and-so that rented your snowmobile last week and great experience. And then a bunch of groups renting from us and just saying that they won't rent from anywhere else again. And so that was really exciting for us because that's what we were going for, man. We wanted
Yeah.
them to have a good snowmobiling experience.
Yeah, I would imagine, the people who rented early in the season, I would imagine very much before the end of the season was over, you were getting like referrals from people and people who were renting again a second time from you later in the season and all that stuff too, because, the thing that really makes you guys stand out is the fact that you're literally renting the latest, greatest built sleds from all manufacturers, or at least the top 3 manufacturers, right? Like Arctic Cat, Polaris, and
Yeah.
Skidoo. And
And we have a good old Yamaha there.
did you have a Yamaha in there
Yeah.
too?
End of
Don't forget Big
January.
Blue.
You can
Yeah.
That's amazing. You had
get a
all
nice
4 of them,
Mountain
huh?
Max as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. The blue
We
Arctic
might
Cats, we
not
call
have
those,
Big
right?
Blue again this year.
Yep.
Yeah, we might not have the blue Arctic Cat, but we might. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. What's some of the amazing products you guys throw on those rental sleds? Is it? I'll just let you go because I could name off a bunch of them because I remember from our last conversation. But just what's the high level list of all the cool things you guys are throwing on these sleds to make sure they're set up for everybody?
Well, we have the climb gear that's available. And then in addition to that, on the snowmobiles, we put the Boondocker products on there. We do HPS products. We put the Ice Age products underneath there. We put Zebros
Hmm.
products all the way around, A-arm suspension, all that kind of stuff. We throw some Avid products on there. Let's see, what are we missing, Droopy?
Now we put bags on everything, so it's convenient for people to haul their
Yeah,
stuff.
so we
It's
use Sled
frustrating.
Solutions.
Very nice.
Let's see. And so we keep it down to that. We tried a lot of different things last year. Oh, we did some ZRP parts. We love the Zebros parts and everything like that, but there was a few parts that Zebros didn't make, and so Zollinger Racing Products is
Yeah.
hands down next choice for that stuff. I've ran their product a lot in the past. They do pretty fantastic as well.
Yeah. Nope, that's awesome. And so, Drew, what's your focus within the business too? I know you're one of the business partners, or you're one of the people in the business here as well too. And where do you focus your time and energy and attention? Are you wrenching? Are you driving stuff around? Or are you taking orders for the rentals? Like, what's your role within the organization?
Yes, I think we're still trying to narrow those specific roles out, John.
Yeah,
But I think Ryan and I are we have more free time in the wintertime than Aaron does.
got
And
it.
then in the summer it switches. But delivering sleds, we use kind of my shop for the pickup points
Okay.
for the sleds. So there's a little bit of that being there for dropping off sleds, picking up sleds, wrenching as well, um, and delivering. So whenever we need to deliver sleds to Wyoming, Highland Park, wherever they need to be, type of thing. But
Yeah.
so we all do a pretty good job of just spreading that load, and that's the great thing about having three of us
Yeah.
is a lot of times it takes two to do this or that, and if one guy's got to go take care of something else, then it usually works out pretty good that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So a question just dropped in here from Kyle Franklin is did the business kick butt this year? Of course, Kyle spelled out a different word than butt, but I'll just say butt. So how was business this year? Did you guys have things booked out most of the time? Was it like 80% booked, or like obviously it was. You're here at the end of the season, and just through conversations I've had with you guys, it sounds like it was highly successful. Give us some details on how it went for you guys this year.
It went really good, John. There was, I don't know, we probably had 5 weeks out of the 4 months that were everything was booked out. And so, of course, that also makes us nervous that, we want to make sure everybody's taken care of. But
Yeah.
luckily, our maintenance schedules and our communication, everything like that, prevented any issues from happening. It worked out really great. It really did kick butt. In all reality, looking back on it, we had those 5 weeks. In fact, this next season, we've upped our ante. I think we'll have 6 more sleds in the fleet this next season than we did last season.
That's amazing.
There's a couple
We're
weekends,
doing,
John, where we were struggling because we didn't have enough machines.
Yeah.
So that kind of sparked getting more units. So
Okay.
no, it was good.
Yeah.
there was one weekend when we wanted to go
Yeah.
riding ourselves, and we
You
were
ran out.
rocking some 89 500s.
That's
I
awesome.
had to pull my 500 indies out of the container and go rip those around for a weekend.
So you had a vintage weekend due to being
Yeah.
sold out on all of your guys' sleds. Because that's the cool part is the fleet of sleds you guys have. It's legitimately some of the sleds in there are looked at as your personal sleds, and to make sure those customers are taken care of and they've got the things that they need. And that's just uncanny. Like I don't know anybody who does that. Like especially a built personal sled. And of course, that's the whole concept of your guys' business. But to be able to like throw that down and let somebody else take it, and then you sit home and look at your Indy 500 like you said and think like, I guess that's what I'm going to be ripping this weekend. Huh?
Yeah. Speaking of which, those guys that rented the sleds out that weekend, they were pretty tickled. They couldn't believe the power. Although the one guy from Minnesota was
Yeah.
pretty disappointed that it didn't have the top speed that he expected. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was like, why does it?
Yeah.
Like,
When
why
you
does
come,
it cut out? And I'm like, what do you mean cut out? And he was like, yeah, like clipping down the trail at like 95 miles an hour, and it was cutting out on me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was
I'm
like,
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 oh
yeah,
man,
those, did you have a track left after
that
that run?
yeah. Oh, I inspected it super hardcore,
Yeah.
and of course went over that with him and was like, hey, yeah, those sleds don't. I mean, they can do that, but they're not built for that. Like the tracks, the clutches, it's not intended for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
went over that stuff with him, and then he was like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, but boy, howdy, does it get there fast?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude, she does."
oh, that's
And I'm
hilarious.
like, and the fact that she'd still pick up and go at 95 says a lot about how she was set up. That was my sled. Mine and Ryan's sled we had set up pretty identical, and they were what we called the all boost sleds.
Okay.
all boost,
So
John.
we
Did
were
you catch
running.
that?
I heard it, but I don't know what that means. Can you give me some details on that?
So you have low boost, you
Okay.
have high boost, and then you have all boost. And so low boost puts you around that 6 pounds, high boost puts you around the 10 pounds. Our sleds were around 14 pounds.
Yowza.
And so when you do the math, now everybody don't like, I mean, it's just doing math. So everybody knows how that horsepower stuff works out. Doing the math, that put us at about 275 horse
Holy
on our Axis 850s
That's
with
You
amazing.
got to hold on.
chop tunnels with a 165 Series 8 underneath it and stuff like that, and then the
Yeah.
Ice Age and Zebras all the way around and clutching, and then
Just
they
a
were a
fun
handful
story
too.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a fun story there,
Sure.
John. When I first rode Ryan's, we went to test it because I had to test mine and we had to test his. We went up to Sheep Creek. We were up there at the top.
Okay.
I hadn't rode Ryan's all boost yet. So I go up this little cornice and I give her a little bit. And that sled literally does a 180. Like I stand still and the sled did a 180 and it's pointing right back at me. Like it is very fun, but it's a handful for
Yeah,
sure.
it sounds like a machine you got to respect. That's for sure. Huh?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. If it doesn't, it'll eat you.
That's awesome.
So having experiences like that, and those were one of the guys that like, man, this has been the best rental experience that we've had. You know, we've used some other shops in town and just haven't been happy. And we shared some of our experiences with those rental shops, and they were like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's the exact, like, yeah, we've been experiencing the same thing and we don't like it. It's like, they've just, anyway. So,
Yeah, no worries.
they were
No
pretty
worries.
happy to have a different experience.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that sets you guys apart too, and I think of, the story that we're going to tell a little bit later, just so you guys know, we're going to cover a story where Drew and Ryan, who is here along with a third person, they were out on a ride this season and ended up having to spend the night. And it's an interesting story and it has some, interesting twists I want to make sure we cover. But I think something that would really, I think, set the stage for what made that event go so smoothly because it happened is the idea of the training that you guys have done, right? So you guys are focused with Stable Mountain Rentals on things like AVI safety, CPR, just safety training, and of course you guys know that's kind of my shtick here, right? Is safety education, just positive growth of the sport, and I'd love to have you guys highlight for us, the things that the Stable Mountain rental crew have done to set themselves up to make themselves stand apart as well for just the safety and CPR and all those type of things that you guys have been doing, and just talk us through some of the training that you guys have been through. So
Go ahead, Droopy. Tell them a little bit about what we've done.
Alrighty. Yeah, we've come at it from a standpoint of we didn't want to do it just because we started Stable Mountain.
yeah,
It was something that we've recognized as riding for decades, that just to be better prepared for situations,
yeah,
honestly.
okay,
Avalanche training is very, very, very important. Not first time, not every years in air, a little more safety. When we used to pro lower, it was I mean, I've been riding for a year, and a lot of that side just to spread the word and help other get the same education. just because it is important type of
Yeah.
stuff. With that, the CPR stuff, not training well, so where in the back, it's hard to help somebody.
So Drew, we lost Aaron and about the so we lost Aaron and about the time that we lost Aaron, because you can't see Aaron either anymore, can you?
Oh,
yeah, and at the point that I lost Aaron,
but I got you guys.
Yeah, your audio connection went away too. So Aaron, when you turned the feed off, it might have messed up the audio feed for Drew as well. So we didn't hear most of what Drew said either. So are you able to get your camera turned back on, Aaron? Are you ready for that?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and keep talking. I think Drew's good.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of a connectivity issue here for some reason.
Gotcha.
All
Can you
right.
still hear me, John? Then?
I can hear you now a little better.
Okay.
Sometimes when the feeds go in and out, it messes with the connection. So Drew, just say a few things there quick. So see if you're clear again.
There we go. Can you hear me again?
Yeah, no, I can. Cool.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
So if you don't mind, Drew, please just kind of go back over what you just covered. I don't think we heard most of it. So.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. No, I was just saying we wanted to get education personally, not just because we started Stable Mountain, but to offer that service, of course. But we wanted it just as riders in general, just to be knowledgeable when we're in the backcountry, because we've all been in those situations where things get a little dicey, and if you don't know how to handle those situations, then they can turn pretty drastic.
Yeah.
So just getting the avalanche courses, getting that training, getting the CPR training, the first aid training. And I mean, granted, we're not trying to be EMTs or anything like that, but being able to handle those situations is important. And then also on the avalanche side, it was important to me to get a lot more of that training, just because I've been riding for decades and I've never had any of that formal training.
Yeah.
Aaron and Ryan have gotten some of that training, just here and there, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But that was kind of an eye opener. So there's a lot of guys out there I know that have rode their entire lives, rode for a decade, and they don't have any of that formal avalanche training. So that's one thing that was important for us, especially if we're going to be taking people in the backcountry.
Yep.
Once we get all that permitting done, we can kind of talk on that in a second too. But as soon as that's all finalized, taking guys in the backcountry, they need to know that we know what we're doing.
Absolutely.
and be comfortable with that, So that was
and
important to us, as well as knowing it personally, or when we're with just buddies, or if we're taking a client, having that peace of mind that we can handle situations as they come up. So that stuff is important for us. And then kind of in conjunction with that, anybody that we have help guide us, that helps come guide with us, as soon as that's official, we're going to require that they have those same standards.
Very nice. Very nice.
So they got to have certain requirements that they have to meet in order to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Well, with Aaron having stepped away, I'm assuming maybe with some headphone issues or audio issues, we'll see. But let's go ahead and dive into the story from this last year, and just bring us to some good detail here too. Like, take us back to the day that you and Ryan, and you said a third friend was with you guys, but the three of you guys went out for the day. Let's just start with kind of what was the plan for the day. It was just kind of a free day for you guys to get out and go riding together and hang out, and just talk us through the day and what led up to it. So.
Okay, sounds good. The day was awesome, John. Like, it was, we went out. Our whole goal that day was just to go explore.
Yeah.
So we were going exploring. We were trying new areas. I mean, it was kind of getting to a little bit of that spring snow right at the beginning of that springtime snow.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, we've never been here. We haven't explored this area, so let's go try it out. So it was over in Bear Creek area. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all. It's kind of by Palisades.
Okay.
So we were exploring, Ryan, our buddy Chad. We were having a good old time, man. Like, on the north slopes, snow was really good. South slopes, pretty slick and sticky. So we were just exploring, going our own way. I mean, there was a few spots that got pretty hairy, but nothing new to us. So we were going through there, and then we decided to go check out the Bear Creek Hot Springs.
Okay.
So it was mid afternoon. We were just boondocking across the mountainside there, getting over to the hot springs because none of us had been there before.
Okay.
And so it was it was kind of funny, and we'll come back to this, but Ryan told Chad, he's like, "Hey man, we're exploring today. You're totally cool with that, right? Like we're not just trying to go a certain spot." He's like, "Oh no, no big deal, no big deal." So I was like, "All right." So we're going, and so we're making our way over to the hot springs there. And we come and we find the hot springs, you know, because we got GPS, so we're just tracking it. We're just trying to make our way through the mountains and stuff. And there was a few draws and stuff that got really steep before we hit the hot springs. And we made it through there, and there was a couple. It was pretty thick timber, and then at this point, it was starting to cool down, and so the snow was starting to get slick and hard.
Okay.
So we're like, yeah, we better get out of here. And so we're looking on the map, and like the regular trail kind of goes off to the west a little more.
Okay.
And we're like, well, and it wraps around the mountainside. So we're like, hey, if we just cut to the north,
okay,
we'll catch that trail, and it's going to be faster, and we'll just get out of here faster.
So all good stories start with "I know a shortcut," right? Isn't that how it always goes?
Well, we can't even claim that, John, because we didn't even know. But according to the map, it was only this far on the map.
It was only
right?
this far on the map, but it was probably like straight up and down to the trail, maybe, or something. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. So we leave the hot springs, and it wasn't too bad. So we leave the hot springs, and we're like, okay, it was Thousand Springs Creek is what it was. So just so everybody knows,
yeah,
that's a sketchy area. So we go down. We're like, okay, if we just go down this creek, we'll be fine. So we're making it through there, and we were having a good old time because I mean, it was technical riding.
Yeah,
we were getting through there. I mean, the timber got thick, so I mean, we were literally.
Yeah, let me pause you for a second and kind of set the stage because, like, you know, there's a lot of folks who watch the show that, you know, some are kind of beginner riders, intermediate riders. There's definitely, you know, people who are advanced riders are watching the show too. But just to set the stage for everybody is like when you're with a really good crew of, like, say, 3 guys who completely know how to shred, they're virtually pro rider level folks, and the places you guys can push yourselves into, most of us can't even comprehend, right? It's the kind of place there too. And so it's just pure fun, and it's smiles, fun to fun. Like at no point, I'm assuming, did you feel like you were in any imminent danger, right? At that point of the day. And so you guys were just doing what you do and pushing hard. And then what happened? Let's keep going with the story.
So that's a perfect analogy there, John. So we were coming down this, the timber got thick, the snow's getting hard, so it's slick. So we're coming down this steep incline. I don't even know that it was steep.
Yeah.
But we're literally dragging our sleds on our side.
Yeah.
Trying to slow them down and dodge in between.
Yeah.
The big trees. So we're coming through there. We're still having a pretty good time, you know. And, and Ryan goes over this way. Chad and I are coming down the same area because we can't get going too fast, or else we're going to smash into a tree, and it's bad news. So so we get down into there. We're kind of following this creek a little bit, and it drops off even steeper, and then the other face of the creek bed had been getting just baked by the sun. So it was super hard. We could barely even stay on it. And Ryan was sitting over there, and Ryan's waiting for us to come down there, and Ryan took a video. It's pretty hilarious from Ryan's perspective, but
look who joined us by the way. On cue. As Drew's talking smack about Ryan just drops right in. So
he just shows up, man. What is this?
All right. That's awesome.
So Ryan gets down to the
before you go, Drew. So now that we have 4 of us on here, not just 3, the formatting changes slightly. So Aaron, if you can tip your screen up a little bit or just slide back a little bit, because now that your forehead's cut off. Ryan, a little bit on YouTube, if you can tip it down. Drew, you're good on your side.
Okay.
Aaron, you're good. Look at that. Perfect. All right. We're all beautiful and in the right places again. So I've never added somebody mid-show like this before. So way to go, Ryan, for
I
proving
just
it can
started
be
clicking
done.
buttons, so
Welcome in, welcome in. So we're in the middle of the story of you and Drew spending the night overnight and making the decision to stay out overnight.
Well, yeah,
safety.
I jumped on it while I was driving home from the field, and I heard
Gotcha.
Drew slaughter at the beginning, but it's okay. We'll just keep.
Got it.
We were having a genuinely good time until we weren't.
Exactly. It was going really good until it wasn't, right?
Yep, for sure.
Awesome,
That's always how it goes. But
All
we're
right.
having a good time.
All right, Drew, you keep rolling, and Ryan, I expect you will interrupt at the appropriate points.
Yes, for sure. I guarantee it. So Ryan's sitting there waiting for Chad and I to come down off this hillside, and snow's getting slick. There's not much of it right here, so we're trying to bobsled shoot down these little holes so we're not nailing trees. So I bounce off a couple things and I make it out. Chad's close behind us and Ryan's videoing it. So if anybody wants some good kicks, Ryan can send you the video. But good couple hard impacts. I put a knee into my console. Yeah, it was good. So that we're still having a good time at that point. So we're still kind of working down this Thousand Springs Creek, and we get on the the east face of the creek where the sun's been baking it, and the snow's just getting really slick. Like the sled won't even hold the side hill.
Ryan can't hold the side hill.
Yeah, that's
Drew
an
can't
issue too.
Can't hold a side hill.
Because I made it 100 yards and looked back, and Drew made it 10 feet. So it's not the sled.
Just to clarify, John, when these two guys get together, it's the Drew Slam show. So I just want to let you guys know that. So it's all good though.
Drew, I just got to say, I've had these two guys on the show before without you, and when it's not the Drew Slam show, it's the Slam Each Other show. These guys are like two cards, and the ongoing. I love these guys.
They're Slam Brothers, Ryan.
Yeah, it's like the Slam Brothers, right? The whole story. The whole story that I love about these guys, they hated each other before they became best friends.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, didn't we become best friends? That story. Go to the old episode. We shared that story in the old episode.
We hate each other occasionally, every now and again.
We still do.
We still hate each other.
Just to keep things real and fresh and keep that friendship just thriving.
That's why I've got to be there, John, to mediate, because sometimes they're like an old couple that are just.
He doesn't mediate. He just gets both our blood.
Drew, Drew, somebody's got to be the responsible one. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, yep. And I'm the youngest, so there you go.
Yep. Hey, Ryan, before I forget. Hey, wait a minute, Ryan. Before I forget, are you wearing headphones? If not, we're risking potentially. Okay, perfect. So good to go. Keep going then.
So we got to back up to Drew and Chad coming down the hill.
All right.
Because I got down there and I got to the other side where it was open, easy side hilling, and came down the drawaways, and then sat there and started filming them coming down this.
Ooh,
okay, so I've been down at the bottom, and I'm filming them, making fun of them up in the trees. Like, look at these crackers. I can't even miss trees as they're coming downhill. But what Drew missed is that time period that we weren't aware of, and this is what I think a lot of people ends up happening when they end up having to spend the night, is that time period. The time that elapsed was an hour from the time I got down and started directing them to when they got to me. And we didn't realize that because we were joking with each other on the radio. They were just doing what they had to do to get down.
Yeah.
And we were just going through the motions at that point, and we didn't realize an hour, which felt like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and then again,
which is important to point out for what we want to illustrate is we want to illustrate that everybody's in that situation where things go sideways, and it's not because you're making any bad decisions. It's not because anybody's necessarily doing anything wrong, but to be aware of it. It's really what we want people to understand is part of being safe, part of making a home is just being aware of that and being like, oh, shoot, we've been down here for a minute. Or, oh, shoot, I'm stuck in a train trap. What am I doing? Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Recognize where we went wrong and then just correct it.
Yep.
Yeah. So then once they got to me and we decided, hey, there's no trees on this side of the ravine. We're just going to side hill out of this. you know, even though I gave Drew crap, I made it like 15 feet and washed completely out. My back end came out from completely under me. But at the exact same time that happened, I get off my sled and turn around to see Drew rolling down the hill into the creek.
Oh,
and we stopped the sled like 10 feet above the creek. And then you got Chad going, what the crap do these guys think I'm going to do on this Artie Cat washout machine?
Oh, I know, right? The Alpha on icy side hills is not fun. So have you guys ever seen that Netflix series called Schitt's Creek?
Mm-hmm.
Was this Schitt's Creek you guys just rolled into?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, we did.
So we got everything put back together then, and I drive 50 to 75 yards down the hill to a spot where I go, honestly, it looks better to jump back off to the other side of the creek, on the other side of the ravine, back into the trees. And I turn around and look, and Drew made it like 10 more feet, and he's now fully suspended above the creek.
Oh, man.
Over top of the creek. The creek's here, and I'm over top of it like this.
just suspended in midair.
So you made like a bridge. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
nice.
Yeah, with his snowmobile.
Yeah,
and just in the air.
A snowmobile bridge made out of a snowmobile.
Well, you know, you're side hilling, John, and you give it gas to sink that rear end, right?
Yeah.
It just washed right out. It wouldn't dig into the hillside, nothing. Wow. So we all struggled numerous times. And so Ryan's like, yeah, we probably better go to the other side.
So we work on getting everybody to the other side. And now we're in trees in a similar side hill, but shaded mashed potato snow.
Okay.
And again, I look behind me.
To point out, those guys made that decision. Not only was it easier on the other side, but the side that they were on, we had just gotten a lot of snow, and it was really hot and sunny that day. And the snowpack on the side that they were on was really high avalanche danger.
Oh, wow.
And so they had gotten there. Ryan was smart enough to go ahead and see the layers of snow, see the struggle, and Drew saw it as well. And they were like, we need to be on the other side because we're in the bottom of a creek bottom. We're in a train trap. We need to fix this.
And there's no way we could have escaped anything if we stayed on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just an open right down. And you could see where the whole hillside had started separating from the ground itself, and the mud had started sliding due to the heat that day. So we jumped back to the other side, get some protection. Wasn't quite as steep. We did have some flatter spots. I wouldn't say anything was flat up in there, but we had some flatter spots up in there. But you had the terrain
to make it sticky, and it wasn't sun-baked like that. It was significantly safer on that other side.
Yeah.
Anyways, so then, again, at that time period, we didn't realize how much time had passed, did we, Drew? From the time, even the first time I washed out to when we all got to the other side of the creek was like another hour, John. Like,
wow.
Boom. Like, I just didn't realize it. We were just doing what it took to get people unstuck and moving.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, like, how long things take, even when it goes perfectly and nobody's getting stuck and nobody, you know, it just, when you're in that situation already and you're starting to try to figure out and navigate fresh areas where you've never been, you also have to be very thoughtful about where you're going, right? To make sure, to your point, you didn't get into avalanche danger, you're not in the bottom of the creek. And then when stuff starts going sideways, like, it could take 15, 20 minutes just to dig one sled out. Now, if the second one gets stuck, there's another 30 minutes that went just by, you know? So, yeah, I mean, time flies. Do you have a quick, rough time check on what time of day it was at this point in the day?
At this point, it's probably close to 6:30 probably.
Yeah, because we left the hot springs around 3:30, and they got to the bottom of the draw, which was directly below the hot springs. It was just downhill basically from the hot springs the whole time to the other side. It was right around a little after 5:30 when they got to the other side of the creek. So then we're closer to that 6:30 mark at this point, and still, I mean, really, honestly, don't know where we're at. We're just we're in the mountains having a good time.
Yeah, and so from there we kind of come around the bend, and then there's a longer open face that we climb.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, let's start working that way. We can make a little more progress. Because Ryan and I both looked at the map and we're like, you know, it's only, gosh, what was it? Like maybe a third of a mile away to the trail.
Okay.
It wasn't very far. And we're like, okay, we just got to keep working this way. So we work around and we climb this open face hill, and Ryan and I get up it. Chad gets up it. Kind of we both get stuck kind of at the very top of it, and then it's
Drew
starting
and
to get
Chad
dark.
get stuck. Let's back up. Drew and Chad get stuck at the top. Don't lump me in with you, bud. Not at this point.
We'll circle back to that. So Chad and I get stuck at the top, and
Aaron, Aaron, you got any popcorn ready to go here? Like I'm about ready to start munching popcorn here.
I do. I do. I've been sneaking some. You gotta watch me. Little ninja. I'll sneak my popcorn while I watch this show.
This is like in the Facebook posts when people start like going back and forth and bantering. Like, oh, let's get the popcorn going. Like we're gonna watch the show. So
that's right. It's a good one. You should have been there.
I know, right? Like I'm curious. Let's see where this goes.
Well, and so I can't remember at that point. I remember telling Chad like it's like shit 30. It's time to get moving. Like this is when shit hits the fan. And so I helped Drew get unstuck, and then I run down and I help Chad get unstuck. And Chad's like, I'm just going to run back down to the bottom and try it again.
Oh, wow.
Well, on his way down, he gets stuck going downhill and cartwheels over the handlebars. And I turn back around and Drew is stuck again.
Yeah. Let me just do a quick commercial break for the idea of this, which is at this time of the day, at this point in time, mental and physical exhaustion is kicking in. Like the decisions you're making, the things you're doing at this time of the day after, and frankly, whether you guys are talking about it or not openly, if I'm one of you guys, like I'm starting to think like, oh crap, it's starting to get late. It's like this isn't part of the plan. Were you guys even starting to talk to each other about that yet or not?
Not quite. We're almost to that point.
Yeah.
So when I went back up to Drew after I helped Chad get unstuck on his downhill ascent, and I made it back up to Drew and was helping Drew unstuck his second time up on top. It wasn't even on top. We can't say it was on top. It was at the top of the little ridge.
Okay.
Because it was only halfway up the actual mountain. I mean, it's not the top. So when I get to that point, that's when the hard talk comes, John. That's when we look at each other and I look at Drew and I go, hey, here's the time we stop making stupid decisions, and we got to start making smart ones.
Yeah.
And what are those smart ones? And so we break out. We both have Inreaches at that point.
Yep.
And we break out. We've downloaded the maps. We kind of have an idea of where we wanted to travel, and we're looking and we're like, well, if we can make it to the top of this that we're trying to go up, just on the other side is the trail.
Yeah.
Or if we go down, keep going down the draw, it connects and it takes off like 2 miles of that trail down the draw.
Okay.
And we're 780 feet from the trail if we just go straight on the draw. That's as the crow flies, as the bird flaps its wings.
But I'm guessing it's not exactly an interstate highway at this point, right?
No, they're definitely not.
No.
And that's I think that's when it got real. And that's when I go, what do you want to do, Drew? And Drew's trying to figure out what he wants to do. And I run down to Chad to get his opinion on what to do. And meanwhile, Drew starts texting his wife, like, we're here, we're alive. I don't remember what you text first.
I don't either. Because that was kind of the plan. We're like, okay, at this point, we're all getting tired.
Yeah.
I think we just need to get to the trail. We don't know what that holds. It's been pretty steep up to this point. So, like, let's just get to the trail. So Ryan goes back down and talks to Chad, and we're just going to kind of try to cut across the ridge over to the trail. Okay. But those guys got to get back to where I was. So Ryan comes back up, and the snow condition has changed, and Ryan can't get back to where I was.
Oh, wow.
And Chad's even more tired than Ryan is, and so he's like, there's no way in hell I'm getting back up to there. So we're like, okay, we're forced to go down at this point because we can't go that way. So we had to go down the draw, and we're like, shoot, it's only, 800-900 feet.
Yeah.
Shouldn't take us that long. I mean, it's going to be tough, but so at that point, Ryan and I kind of remember in my mind's eye, him and I were at the top talking, and we're like, okay, we're not going to make it up to that. We've got to go this way. And I don't know that we necessarily looked at each other and thought of it at the same time, but we're like, this shit got real. Like,
yeah,
it's getting late. Like, it's straight dark at this point, and we're all pretty tired. And we're just like, yeah, we got to go this way. We can't make it that way.
yeah,
Yeah, it's at that point that I looked at Drew and I said, here's our only option. We were there when it was light enough, so we knew what the terrain was like.
yep,
Going back across was not an option. But what we were faced with was a section on the side that we are that's even steeper, dropping down into the creek bottom.
yeah,
And we can't, if we go up around it, which is what we were trying to do, we weren't making it. And we didn't know what lied on the backside of that ridge anyways. And so as I came down to get back down to where Chad was sitting waiting for us, which happened to be right at the base of a spring coming right out of the mountain.
okay,
There's a grove of trees. There's flat ground. It's like the perfect spot if you wanted to camp out. But as I was coming down, I just had the thought go, all we got to do is knock a trail down across this side hill to get past this one section.
yeah,
And then we're home free.
yeah,
Like, we got this. And I kind of feel like, I don't know if Drew felt that way, but I just came down. I said, hey guys, the only option I see is we either just stay here all night or we make a run for it and we build ourselves a trail across this side hill. And if it's up to me, we build the trail. But I'm not the only one making decisions here. So threw it out to everybody at that point. And Chad's like, I'll build a fire. And me and Drew went to work at that point.
yeah.
So
the decision was made to spend the night, right?
Well, it wasn't even at that point we're spending the night yet. It was, I texted my wife and I said, hey, we're in a situation. It's going to take some time to get out of here. I don't know what that looks like or how much time that's going to be, but
we're safe at this point, right?
We're safe. No one's hurt. We're good. We're just going to, I'll give you some updates as the time goes, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to build this trail and hopefully we get past this one section and who knows what lies beyond that. But we're 700 feet from the trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, I haven't given up yet. We're still coming out, John.
Okay.
Like, it's still on the way, right?
All right.
I mean, I don't know where Drew was at that point, but I hadn't given up that we were going to get out. So we just went to shoveling, and we had a pretty dang good system set up to where one of us was in the front knocking down the first 1.5 to 2 foot of the snow, and the other one behind was knocking it, so it was about 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
Just wide enough for a snowmobile.
Yep.
And then Chad came behind us, and he was just supposed to pack it. We're like, Chad, you just pack this. You're wore out. You're an old man. Just pack it down. And
hopefully he sees that too.
And Drew turns around and goes, Chad, what are you doing? And Chad's like knocking it down and making it another foot wider. So now we got a 4 foot wide trail.
Oh, wow. Interstate.
And Chad's like, I ain't falling off this thing. We're going as wide as we can. No way that I'm risking going downhill. We're going to be on this trail. So we end up building this trail. And again, things just take longer when you're exhausted. We've been snowmobiling all day. We've been getting each other unstuck all day. And now we're here building this 4 foot wide pathway across the mountain.
Yeah.
And we're trying to judge slope. We're trying to, we got our flashlights, our Franken sleds and our oxbows and whatever other flashlight, even the little gas station $2 special out to help us see where we're going. And we're trying to traverse this to make it as easy as possible. Okay. But at one point we come to the realization, like, we got to be going down. We can't just be going straight across.
Got it.
Because straight across just put us into trees.
Oh, wow.
And like this thick forest of trees. And the last thing we want to do is have to build a trail like this, right?
Yeah.
Up and down and up and down through these trees. So we wanted to go down, and we made that decision too late.
Uh-oh.
And we ended up building like a luge for our snowmobiles and just went downhill with it and built this berm. So as we picked up speed, we just hit this berm and then cut back into the mountain.
Wow.
And into these trees.
Now that luge we had to have one of us dragging on the back of the sled to slow us down enough.
Oh my
like
gosh.
holding the brake, the guy dragging on the back so we can make the corner at the bottom. Because it was just straight ice after we built it.
So this whole time, mine and Drew's Inreaches are just going off from our wives, right? You can just imagine at this point, it's past 9. It's past midnight at this point.
Oh my gosh.
We're still not throwing in the towel because that's just not who we are. We're not stopping. And so our wives are just like, what can we do? What can we do? And then we get this text like, hey, Aaron and Steven are on their way. And I remember looking at Drew like going, what the crap are they going to do?
Yeah,
they
can start building the tunnel from the other side, maybe, right?
Yeah,
From the
pretty much. If they can find this, right?
I know, right?
And so my wife has been texting Aaron, right? And Aaron's got a whole different side of this story because he's kind of getting information third party from my wife, and she's sending me texts, and the texts are what Aaron's asking me, but it's coming from my wife, and I'm like, are you serious right now? What do you want to know that for? It's not going to help you out.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how many people are with us, or, it's like some of the questions were, I remember the one was, is it terrain that's causing the problem? Is it fuel? Is it sleds? Is it individuals' riding ability? Like, trying to narrow down the reason for where we're at. And it's the time of day that it is, right?
That's not helpful right now, right?
Yeah, it's like none of that matters.
But outside looking in, you don't know though.
Yeah.
Aaron's over here like why the crap is Ryan not home yet? Like this is a new one. This is a new one for us. In the 25 years of riding together, this is a first.
Yeah.
So I just remembered some of those text messages, and of course I'm tired. I'm out of breath. I'm wore out. I just want to get to work, and then I hear the oh crap, got to pull the inReach back out of my pocket. And then my inReach I hadn't synced with my phone, so I'm still like old school scroll.
Oh no. Yeah.
Scroll through the letters so loud. So I'm like, this is taking forever to text you back, and it's wasting time. I should be digging Snell. And Aaron's over here like, I'm going to come save you. I'll be your Superman.
Did he show up with a blue cape or a blue S on his chest, or?
I got to say though, so in that scenario, and we kept digging, John. I mean, we kept digging. We got down the luge. We kept going through the little grove, and then we hit the creek, and we look on the side of the creek that we're on, and we're like, that's way too thick to get a sled through. So we had to go back across the creek.
Oh no.
And we had to make a bridge. We had to make our own bridge back across the creek. And all three of us, I think it was probably, 2 o'clock probably at this point. Like all three of us looked at each other. Yeah, we're like, yeah, we need to do this. We need to do this. And none of us moved. We're just like, we're too tired. Like, we are toast. Yeah. So at that point, we're like, okay, I think we finally accepted, okay, yeah, we're gonna probably have to stay the rest of the night. Get out in the morning. So,
well,
that's kind of one
a lot of things into consideration at that point, right, Drew? Because now it's pitch black. Our flashlights are dead. Like we can't even see. We're doing this as far as we can see with what moonlight there is, and we're going from what we can see. The smart decision is to jump back across the creek. But is that the smart decision, John? Like we didn't know that because we couldn't tell. Like, do we jump back across the creek in 30 yards just to jump back again?
Yeah.
We just didn't know what lied below us. And
we can only see. I mean, running the sled, you can see as far as the sled light. That's about
100 feet maybe if you're lucky, right?
Yeah.
And at which point it was right around 3 o'clock when we kind of threw in the towel. But right around that, between that 2 and 3 o'clock hour, my wife asked for another location, like send us a new location. And that's because Aaron asked her for it. And I'm like, so I send her a new location. And I'm like, this is where we're going to set up our new base camp right here. Yep. And I think it was 120 feet from the last location. And the last location
3 hours.
it was 8 o'clock. From 8 o'clock to 2 in the morning, we made it 120 feet.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when she went, do I call search and rescue? And I went, I almost chuckled and laughed. Like that's
Yeah, they ain't getting to us.
they're not coming. Like if I was gonna call search and rescue, it would be Aaron. And I've called Aaron, and Aaron knows the situation. He knows where we're at. He's got a plan. I'm sure he's got something figured out. What that is, I don't know. Because I'm at this point tired of texting the way I'm texting. So it's like as short as possible, broken English, we alive.
we alive, barely.
And so we decided at that point, that's the point where I think for me, I went, this is the all-nighter. Like we aren't getting out of here. It's not rolling in to the house at 5 or 6 in the morning going, well, we rode all day and we rode all night.
Yeah.
It's time to hunker down. And part of that is we were running low on supplies too, because we'd been burning a ton of energy. So we were eating everything that we had stockpiled for the end of the day, all our secret stashes we were starting to use. And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact probably that we had that fresh creek, like it was a spring coming right up the mountain, we would have ran out of fluids hours before. But we just kept going back, refilling our water jugs with fresh spring water, which was amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And just kept going. But the new location that we decided to move our camp to gave us the ability for more opportunity for firewood, which the other camp had kind of ran out of. And so now it was, what's our needs? Our needs right now are we need to take a break and we need to stay warm. And this is the best place to do that. There's more firewood opportunity. It's closer. It's more protected from the elements. And let's just get warm. And that's what we did. We focused on staying warm at that point. We built the fire, and we built a bench that went around the fire. We threw our space blankets out, and we just sat around the fire. And there was points at the night that I got hot, and my clothes completely dried off. I was completely dried come morning time. But that wasn't to say there weren't times that it was bone chilling either. There was points where it was, I'm getting up and I'm putting more firewood on because I'm freaking cold. And you guys sat down 20 minutes ago, and now it's my turn to put firewood on.
Yeah.
So that was the rough part, John. Like we just telepathically knew, okay, it's your turn to put firewood on. I did the last one. I don't want to move right now. It's your turn.
Yep.
And we ate meat sticks, like because that's what we're left with. It was just a big old package of meat sticks, which I normally don't buy. I just happened to buy it that day at the gas station, like the biggest package I could find. And I haven't had a meat stick since that night.
You've had enough.
Me either. Imagine that.
So did anybody actually close their eyes and get a little sleep, or was it just kind of laying down and resting, you think?
Well,
I probably slept for a total of 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about you. Maybe got 20 or 30 minutes. Chad got a little bit longer, but not much. I mean, if they were short 10, 15-minute little cat naps. And I was antsy. I was antsy all night. I just wanted to keep moving. I just wanted to keep digging. And I just kept telling myself, it's not, I can't make that decision till I can see far enough down that I know the direction to head's the right direction.
Yeah.
And so one good thing, John, I mean, kind of to come full circle with that, is the attitude of all of us there was calm and collected.
That's awesome.
Nobody was getting super worried. Nobody was freaking out about anything. Like everybody was collected and we're making decisions together. So it's not one guy who's trying to do something on his own type of thing, making those decisions together and actually just moving. It was slow progress. It was super slow progress, but everybody's making those decisions together and just moving us forward, keeping a calm head. And I think that right there is probably a lot of what made it not an emergency, I guess you would say. Nothing that was really life-threatening at all. So when Ryan's asking me they're asking him if they want to send search and rescue, and it's like, well, no. I mean, they can't see to get in here just as well as we can't see to get out. So
we're not going to put somebody else's life at risk when there's not a life-threatening or issue, right? Like, there's no sense in having somebody else get in here and be in the same situation we are when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
So we're just going to keep chugging along.
Yeah. One thing I want to call out here though is imagine this situation with no satellite communication, like no communication to the outside world. Like imagine what your wives and your friends and everybody else would have thought and what they would have been doing and the risk they would have put themselves in to even try to find your tracks and follow your tracks in or whatever, right? But the fact that you guys had those communicators, you were able to put everybody else's mind at ease that, hey, we're here, but we're safe, right?
Yeah. Total different outcome if we didn't have those.
Oh, for sure. It made a world of difference. You know, when I picked it up a year ago, I never thought I'd need it. And then like at this point, it's just something I'll always pack. Like it's just as important as an avalanche beacon. It's just as important as your food supply for the night is having that ability to communicate with somebody on the outside and letting know, even if it's just to let them know that you're okay. So they don't have to force an issue that they don't need to.
Yeah. So Jay Nelson in the comments here has just asked, what was the overnight temperatures that night? Do you guys recall, or do you have any recollection of what it was that night?
Oh man.
Oh, I don't recall. I remember because I was getting ready for harvest yet, and so it was still getting pretty low. The ground was still freezing every night down at home, and so it got fairly warm in the day. It got like almost up to 50, and it was down into the teens for sure.
Okay.
We got lucky though, because it didn't rain or didn't snow or didn't. I mean, we got lucky, so the night was clear.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit colder because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a clear night, so we had a little bit of moonlight, and there wasn't a lot of wind, like Drew said. The weather conditions were great for camping out, and the other thing is, all three of us were prepared in one way or another, and the combination of our preparedness just helped it make it that much better of a night.
That's awesome.
I had something that they didn't have, they had something I didn't have, and so we just made it that much better for each other as we pooled our resources together, and then communicated with those looking to come and help us. And that's, about that 6:30 when the sun was starting to get light enough that we were starting to see some definition and starting to see down a little bit. That's when we're like, all right, it's time to start moving around some more. It's time to start putting another game plan together.
Yeah. Okay. So take us from there.
Too, John. Yeah, it's an awesome thing too. So we got sunlight. We knew Aaron was coming. So Aaron was fantastic in that situation because him and John, they were up there pretty early. I don't know what time you left, Aaron, but I mean, you guys got back in there probably.
I left the parking lot just a little bit before 7.
Yeah, so they got back to us fairly quickly, but they knew our exact location, so they were coming up the opposite direction.
They knew our exact location. So like 8 o'clock in the morning, my wife sends me, hey, can you send me an updated location? And I looked at Drew and I looked at where we camped out. And I went, can I just tell her we're 30 feet farther down? Because we haven't we haven't moved. And I just said, just use the last location. It works.
But now we can see where we're going.
Yep.
So we see the creek. We do confirm that we do need to cross the creek.
Okay.
So we cut some trees down to make logs across the creek, put pine boughs on it, put snow on it. That's how we made our makeshift bridge across this creek. And we just kept digging. I mean, we had to dig another to get out, because John and Aaron met us. Yeah, so we did another 300-400 feet. John and Aaron came in 100 feet or so to us, and Aaron was awesome, and he brought food and got us a little bit of food and kind of replenished us a little bit.
So
just digging out and got out of it.
Maybe I'm the only one that missed something here. But you guys were stuck overnight. You saw you had to cross the creek. How far are you away from? How did you get from where you were at to the trail? Did I miss it while I was?
No, we're not there yet. So we haven't got there yet. Like,
because you're talking about them bringing you food. It's like talking about bringing food, and I'm like, oh, are you done already? Like, did I fall asleep for 15 minutes?
So before Aaron talks about his food situation, when Drew says we cut down some trees and built this bridge, like we cut down. There was 8 logs about 15 feet long, about
Oh my
8
gosh.
inches in diameter.
Wow.
That then we also put limbs over and then packed snow on top of,
Got it.
and then had to cut our way through this wall of snow on the other side because it was like 10 feet taller on the other side of the creek. Like it wasn't just this easy, like, oh, hey, drop a log, let's go. And we
No pun intended.
yeah, no pun intended. Think light on the feet, and we did. We had Drew like take every snowmobile across. Like, hey, Drew, you're the lightest guy. You take the sled. Like, I don't trust it. And then we just started building this pathway, but we're moving slow because we have spent all of our energy. We have wasted. We really haven't had anything as far as calories. At one point, Chad's like, I'm thirsty. We're out of fluids. So Chad hiked back up our luge, back across our trail, and back to the spring to refill all our water bottles for us.
Oh, wow.
Drew just kept digging. Meanwhile, like, we know Aaron's on his way, but we've lost communication other than all of a sudden, like, we get this hope because we made the smart decision. One of the things I think we also need to back up and think about is
you really need to talk to people about that so that they can think about
that we made when we decided, John, that hey, it's time to buckle down and we're going to be here for a while. We looked at each other and we turned everybody's but one's phone off. There's no sense in anybody having their phone on right now, or all of us having our phone on, as well as there's not
and our radios.
Yeah, there's no reason for any of us. All 3 of us have our radios on. One's going to have the radio on until his battery dies, and then we'll kick somebody else's radio on, and we'll kick somebody else's phone on at that point, type deal. So as we were going through the night, we wanted to conserve those energies, those batteries as best we could. So as we're up, it's getting pretty good. In fact, it was actually at that point warmer standing out in the sun digging the path than it was back at our fire pit. And so we wanted to be huddled around the fire, but it was warmer digging the pathway. So we're digging the pathway, and we get this radio transmission from Jon and Aaron of basically Jon requesting help from Aaron, and Aaron saying it's going to take me a minute to get to you because I'm in a situation myself. So
basically, Aaron and Jon are just out joyriding instead of looking for you guys. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, right. Can you believe that?
They're out having a good time.
True friends.
We haven't had a
friends.
chance to talk about my rendezvous yet.
Yeah, Aaron's he's got a pretty good story on the other end of that we had no clue was happening.
Why they were getting the questions
there's a chance this could be the longest Jon Ferrian live episode ever if we let this keep going. But let's keep going. I'm enjoying it and it's entertaining, so let's keep rocking it. So we're hour and 7 minutes in, just as a reminder.
I'm going to make this real fast. So
all right.
I get a random GPS drop from Ryan at like 7 o'clock. No, it was like 8-ish, somewhere around in there. Okay. And I didn't think anything of it. And so I sent him a text back, like within 5 or 10 minutes. Hey, are you just showing somebody how that Inreach works, or are you saying you need help? Like, what is this about?
Was this the night before? The night before, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the night before. And I'm like, okay, he's just messing around, no big deal. Well, I get a call from his wife like an hour later. They're like, have you heard from Ryan? I'm like, oh, great. That's fantastic. And then of course automatically I'm like, I have not. What have you heard? And then we get up to speed, and so the questions were coming from, so I find out another buddy is willing to come up. It's like 9 o'clock, 9:30 at this point, when Ryan's wife Bethany was like, yeah, we should probably at least get up there just in case there's something to do. Because I was like, I agree. I want to be up there just in case. I don't want to just sit around and wait if there is something to do. But I know that nobody's injured, nobody's hurt, et cetera, et cetera. Stephen Marley, he's like, yeah, I'll go with you. No big deal. So me and Stephen load up, get there. We get back up in there, and we get to the point where you can't be on a trail anymore. And so now you have to start bushwhacking. And at this point, it's late. It's dark. I have lighting. Stephen has lighting. I'm way more comfortable with the situation than Stephen is. But essentially, it comes down to all of our avalanche training. You have to make a good decision, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do we push through in this really high terrain? We know that it's really avalanchy in the area. Do we push through, risk our lives, or are we going to get back up in there and now we're calling for help? So now Ryan and Drew are calling for help. We're calling for help. And so that last text that Ryan was talking about, what was your location? It's me and Steven sitting in this open field between creek crossings going, like, before we proceed, we should probably make a good decision. And Steven's like, hey, look, we need to know if they've moved. We need to know, get all those answers. Ultimately, nobody's hurt. There's no emergency. They're fine. They're big boys. We'll go back. And we made that decision. It was about 2:30 in the morning that we left the head of the Bear Creek trailhead is when we headed back to the trailer. And I was like, okay, sweet. We're going to go back. Steven had some stuff he needed to do. I was able to find John. John was like, oh, yeah, I'm all about it. John was super eager, too. He was like, I'm headed to your house right now. I'm like, whoa, buddy. I'm like, I haven't been asleep yet. I'm starving to death. I need more fuel. I need another sled. I need, you know what I mean? So I'm like, let's go back, regroup. I'm trying to get other people to go because right now they don't have enough manpower to do the digging that they need to do to they had to dig this. When they say that they're digging, people have to understand that they're not just packing stuff down in front of them.
Yeah.
They're on a slope about yay steep that they're cutting a path. They're cutting a catwalk.
Yeah.
Is what they're having to do. And the top 3 inches is hard crust snow into sugar for a bunch of inches, and then hard pack underneath that you have to dig all the way down through. And you're basically bulldozers up there cutting a road.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I'm like, hey man, I'm like coming back, figuring out what's going on. This is what's going on. You and me can head up and get a head start. We get that all worked out. I round up all of my backpacking gear. So I got my jet stove and I've got all my mountain houses, and we stop and load up on soda and candy bars and water, and we got everything. And so John and I, John had McDonald's. We leave the parking lot like just a few minutes before 7 because I'm like, I know how to get there. I know where we're going. I know exactly how to get there. I've done a lot of studying on the map now that I can get into cell reception. So we leave the parking lot at 6:45. Now you can fast forward to all of I'm working my way back. John's like, where are we at? He's like, that's north. I'm like, no, John, that's south. And I'm like, they're that way. He's like, no, they're that way. I'm like, no, really, man, they're that way. And so we're crossing creek after creek. It wasn't that bad. I'm exaggerating. Don't beat me up, John. But we get in there, and I'm starting to realize that, kind of those decision things, right, that you come back to. It took the next day to really understand why those principles are in place when you're making decisions. Because if I would have forced Steven to keep going, because I wanted to. These are my best friends, right? But Steven's like, no, we got to be smart about this. We got to make good decisions. Steve has a lot of avalanche training over in Colorado as well.
Yeah.
Before he came over here, and so he's really smart, really good decision maker. We talked through it. Luckily, I was able to listen to his wisdom. We made a good decision to go, get better prepared, and come back. And coming back just proved all of that stuff. We get in around that corner that we turned around at, and that was really easy. But then we got into the hard stuff. By the time I got to Ryan and Drew, I had literally crossed the creek, I think 12 times.
Wow.
And in the dark of night that it was, there's no way in the world I would have been able to figure out how to do that. I would have been buried my sled 3rd creek crossing in and would have been stuck myself.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a big example of why the training people train us to make decisions that way.
Yep.
Is to save us from our own selves. And so now fast forward it to these guys hearing us on the radio.
Oh, and that's it. Like, we hear them on the radio, and I can't remember if it's mine or Drew's radio that picks them up, but we hear them, and I'm like, you just get this initial like, oh, dude, they're close. If we got them on the radio, they're close. And so we're able, like, hey, John, do you got a copy? And at first, John thinks it's Aaron. And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, this is Ryan, John. And he's like, go, Aaron, I got a copy. I can talk to Ryan. And so we're trying to do this 3-way.
I'm like, John, I'm on the same channel. I'm hearing what you hear. I love John, dude. He's so much fun to ride with. I love John.
So, and they're like, oh, we got you. We got the location. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to keep working then. We'll hear, we'll just keep going at it. Well, their communication dies off, and it sounds like we lost them.
Oh, no.
Like it's going in and out. It's getting staticky. There's moments we never hear them. And I just, in my heart going, they were right there. Where the crap did they go?
Oh, you about made a huge mistake, man.
Oh,
You
we
almost
did.
made the
So-
worst mistake.
So the next time, it had been probably almost 2 hours. And we've been trugging along. Me, Drew, and Chad have still just been digging. And we've been, at this point, we'll dig like 30 yards and move our sleds forward 30 yards because we're so tired. We don't even want to have to walk.
Yeah, we're like, where are those guys? We're so tired. Like, come on.
Just get here already. So the next time Jon comes across the radio clear enough that I feel like I can get communication out to him, I'm like, hey, Jon. He's like, Ryan, what? And I'm like, where the crap are you? And Jon's trying to explain where they are. And I'm like, you're farther away from us than when the last time we talked. You're going the wrong direction, Jon. Turn around and come back to us. Because at this point, like, I just want somebody else here digging. I'm so beat. I'm so tired.
And that's all it took for Jon to completely mutinize the operation.
Oh, Jon, Aaron, we're
He
going.
comes like, he's like, Aaron, we're going the wrong way. And I'm like, everybody stop.
Oh, well, so Aaron decides that he needs to jump in. He's like, and he goes, hey, we're not where you think we are. We're coming your way. Have you left the last mark, pinpoint that you sent? And I go, not really. We can still see it. And he goes, all right, we're just going to there. We will get there. And so we just go on.
That was pretty, because I knew, and I'm like, hey, Ryan, I'm like, literally, dude, we are only like 100 yards away from the mouth of the creek. Like, I know exactly where I'm at. We're almost there. We're not where you think. I'm like, and it's just one of those, like, I knew where Ryan was coming from, right? He's like trying to prevent a mistake. And I'm like, no, man. And that's what the confirmation was. Like, hey, that pin drop you sent me, is that still accurate? He's like, it is. I'm like, perfect. Then I know I'm there. Don't worry about it. I'm 100 yards away from the mouth of the creek. I'm a little tied up right now. So is Jon. We're going to get untied up. We're almost there.
And Aaron just comes in.
Like, okay.
And we don't even really hear the snowmobiles, do we, Drew? We just, all of a sudden we see this little hairy
little bobbing head
walking across the snow.
These shiny Goldilocks.
We're like, hey, Aaron. It was great just to be able to see him, right?
So you finally meet and you hug in the middle and embrace each other.
Raw emotion, right?
I was kind of mean about it because we got up there and I realized I peeked over the ridge and was like, oh my gosh, they're not even close. I was like, holy cow, look how far away they are, for real. And so
we thought we were
hey,
close.
Jon.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I'm like, all right, Jon, the plan was when we get here, we'd start digging and help out. So I'm like, I just saw where they're at. They're a long ways away. It doesn't make any sense for us to walk over there and then like dig from their end. Let those three work there. So we started digging from Bear Creek up the Warm Springs Creek. And so it took us, we had to dig about 50 yards up to the ridge before they saw it. So we'd been there. We got there at about a little after 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, we got there a little bit before 9 to the mouth of the creek, and we got to the top of the ridge about 9:30 after digging. So we figured out how to get across, kind of dug a little entryway into the creek, and then we dug up to the ridge, and that took us about 45 minutes to an hour to get to the top of that ridge of digging.
Wow.
And then we still had another football field.
Oh yeah, we still had at least 300 feet to go. And I'm watching them dig towards us, and I wanted to be like, just bring me my mother and the food. I'm so freaking hungry right now. I just want something to eat. And a Mountain Dew. I hope Aaron has a Mountain Dew.
That's awesome.
And so we get to the top of the ridge, and we kind of dig a little bit further, and it's like, okay, they've come far enough, we've come far enough. They're probably exhausted. But the real problem was we wanted to make sure they were there. And so we didn't bring all of the food. So at that point, it's like, okay, Jon, I'll keep digging. You go get this, and this. And then he went back down to the machines, back across the creek, got it, came back, we went over and met him, and that's when I prepared the smorgasbord for him. Boiled some water and got some beef stew and some chicken stroganoff and
full buffet right on the side of the creek.
Barbecue.
Yeah, it hit the spot, man.
Oh, it's exactly what we needed, right? A warm, hot meal and energy that we didn't have. So, and it still took us another 2 hours at that point to get to the point where we had to drop into Bear Creek, literally drop into the creek, drive down the creek about
a 15-foot drop
feet
from where the Warm Springs drops into Bear Creek. It was about a 15-foot vertical drop, and it was only this 10-foot wide section with a 15-foot drop, and so you had to come over, dangle the skis, and when it got onto the bulkhead and pivoted, you had to let it pivot onto the bulkhead and then let it kick sideways and then pull it into a side hill and let it drop off so that you could land in the creek square.
And then you had to ride down the creek about 150 feet before you could get back up out of the creek. And I looked at that, and as I hit this and we got to that point, I just remember going, there is no way in the dark we would have had any clue of where we would have needed to have gone, John. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah.
We would have been in a worse situation if we would have just kept pushing through just to get out. And then Aaron had spent the 4 hours getting to us from the truck, figuring out how to cross the creek, which
9 o'clock, getting there at 9 minus 7 hours minus leaving at 7 is.
It was 11:30 when we got to it. By the way, class. It wasn't 9. It was 11:30.
It was when we pulled up to the creek. It wasn't 11:30. That's when you saw.
Yeah, it was 11:30, John.
Come on, kids.
Radio transmission. First radio contact was 9.
Bottom line is, it was a happy ending to the story. Sounds like everybody there.
So again, like, we didn't know what we were in for either. The trail itself, John. If you take this trail, which it's open to dirt bikes in the summer, and horseback and foot traffic, right? There's 48 creek crossings.
Wow.
On this trail. I didn't know that going into it. We crossed on the way up and in to get to the top. We crossed the creek once and then just went to the top. And so it was a good experience for us. We learned a lot. And I guess
very humbling.
Never stayed the night again. You know, I have to say that. I get to blame it on other people though.
Very, very humbling, I'm sure. So
you got a mirror there, dude?
I still to this day say I could have got out by myself. I didn't need them, but I just stayed back for their support. That's it. I could have got out.
Well, bottom line is, a lot of training went a long way, and you guys got out, and staying calm, cool, and collected, right, and having the satellite communication, having the right tools that you needed to start fires. Like, there's so many things that went right in spite of a very bad situation, and so congratulations on making it through, and learning a valuable lesson that you probably won't be making again anytime soon, I'm sure. So.
No.
Awesome.
It was good that we were prepared for it. I don't recommend to do it, but if you have the supplies, it's so much easier to deal with.
Amen.
It could have been a lot worse.
We've had enough close calls that we knew kind of what we needed, John. Like, we just push the limits every time we go out there. So we've had close calls. We've had times where we thought we were going to spend the night, and so because of that, we've just had ourselves prepared, and some of that comes from the training. It comes from the avalanche training. It comes from getting that first aid and focusing on that type of stuff and knowing what our bodies need at those times. So
just a lot of experience. So, well, guys, we definitely have run longer than we anticipated, but I know we still have a few things to chat about in regards to the Stable Mountain Rentals summer business that you guys are, going to have going on this summer. So who wants to cover that tonight?
We can cover that really fast, man.
Sure.
We're really excited. Ryan's done a good job. He was really smart and got dirt bikes pre-ordered for us, or else we'd be screwed. And so we've got our cross trainer in, our 300RR, our betas, cross trainer, 300RR. Our other cross trainer should be here anytime, and our third cross trainer should be here in a couple weeks.
Very nice.
And so we've got that up on the website. We've had our Razor Trail Ultimates, our 2-up side-by-sides, show up We have one available right now. Our 4C XP Turbo is showing up. We have that available right now. And then our Ranger Crew Cab is going to be here pretty soon. And so that'll be available to rent as well. So just like the snowmobiles, we're setting these up the way that we want it. Like one of our Ultimates, we just got over the weekend. And I spent a few hours setting it up. And it's night and day difference between what it was out of the crate and what it is now. We've put tires and wheels on it, so now it has decent clearance, has good tread, good control. Went through and set up all the suspension. It actually rides, and you can jump it, and you can turn it, and it doesn't just fold over. It's really responsive, really in good control. And our dirt bikes, we've gone through and put the protector on the pipe and on the discs and put bib moose in there so you don't get flats when you're driving it, et cetera, et cetera. And so we just really have the enthusiast in mind because that's what we want. Who wants to mess with a flat tire? Who wants to mess with bending a rim or ripping an A-arm off? Who wants to just mess with any of that stuff? And we're just going to be making more and more improvements. Like the side-by-sides, we'll be putting Zebros high clearance A-arms on it. We're going to get the spring kits on there. Just doing everything we think that they need. And they come great from the factory, but man, when you put these things on it, it just turns them from this really fun machine to this fun, capable, safe machine.
Yeah. When I think of
we're doing that,
the things you guys have done and the partnerships that you've built, I mean, it's no accident. I mean, you guys collectively have, have an incredible network throughout the industry just because of your time with Boondockers Films, the writing that you've done with pro riders and different factory riders around the country. I mean, if you want to just highlight a few of these different companies that you've done and just the way you've networked with them over the years and just built trust with them to the point where they're willing to believe in you to help invest in your business and support you guys in sponsoring what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Ryan would agree, but it's really weird to think back and think about all those relationships we built and how long we know those guys.
Yeah.
How it's turned from a sponsorship or an athlete relationship into a family relationship.
Yeah.
Like we call and talk to the Zebros guys, first name basis, like they're best friends. Same with the climb guys, Dustin and John and Justin and all those guys up there that are just fantastic. And
it's awesome.
And so we put Zebro suspension. We have the climb stuff available to rent so that your body's taken care of and safe. We do the Zebro suspension all the way around. We do Boondocker clutching and mufflers and HPS and all of those guys that we believe in and have worked in forever. And we'll just keep adding more and more as we find stuff that's necessary, stuff that these buggies need. And then Mark over at Colby Off Roads just been bent over backwards for us to help us get dirt bikes. And
it's awesome.
And then to get them set up and to do the wrenching since we don't have the time to get the parts put on for us and just to do all that kind of stuff. And then DJ, we don't talk about DJ very much, but DJ and Justin down at Tracked Out Adventures are super awesome. We've known those guys forever. And so at first you would think that that's, competing against them, but luckily he's just a really good friend and we can talk with him. Ryan and him talk pretty regular about that stuff. Me and Justin talk pretty regular about that stuff and just bounce ideas off of each other and what we're learning that's working for us and sharing that with the other guy. And then they share with us what they've learned. And we're just growing together and doing a better job for our customers together.
Yep. Yeah, and if you do it right, I mean, you can be direct competitors, but also be in a situation where collectively working together and getting the word out and the message out and building what you guys are building, you're able to grow a new industry or a new niche within the industry that's going to allow both of you guys to thrive. And so, you could look at this competition, but that partnership and that support of each other, I think, has been tremendous to drive success for both sides, right?
It is. And speaking of teaming up with people, we've worked with a company called Mountain Riding Labs for the avalanche education.
I know them well. They're one of my partners as well for my scholarship program that we work on. So.
Yeah. Will and Matt are pretty fantastic. And so one of the things that drove the good decisions that Ryan and Drew made is the classes that we've taken from those guys, taking the area level 1. And then after we took that course, we felt like we needed to go take the rescuer course. And so we've taken the rescuer course as well. And then we've paid for first aid classes and CPR classes and And anybody that's listening, that stuff's surprisingly cheap. It's only a couple of bucks to go get that stuff. And when you've actually practiced it and done it, when it comes around, to have that natural response is something that you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah.
For Ryan and Drew to be in that situation and not panic, and for me to be on the other end, even though I was panicking, but being able to control that panic and make a good decision, saved us heartache, saved us thousands of dollars in heartache, and it'll save somebody else. That's why they teach you, and only when you teach it and practice it can you apply it.
Yeah.
And so in our area, we talked a little bit about doing the permitting, the guided backcountry tours last year.
Yep.
We are still pushing towards that. We didn't know the effort that we were going to embark on, and we have a much better idea of the effort that that's taken now. And we're teaming up with Mountain Riding Labs and the Forest Service in our area have finally released the prospectus for the Teton Palisades Basin to be able to do guided backcountry tours.
Nice.
And so we're teaming up with Mountain Riding Labs to go after that. And so we expect that, obviously we're going into that hoping to win a permit. And so that's the intent. And so right now, with that intention, you know, we're shooting for that star, we're going for that moon. And so we expect to legitimately have guided tours this fall for snowmobiles. And then on our summer stuff, we've been working with those same districts, and we have things in works right now that hopefully here soon we can have good news about being permitted to do dirt bike guides and razor side-by-side guiding. Those aren't officials. We're not licensed outfitters yet with a Forest Service permit, but we're working on that stuff. And right now we have both our summer and our winter on a really good track to be permitted and to be licensed to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It continues to just be the trust that you build and the relationships you build with you know, all of the right people in the industry, including the Forest Service. You know, you don't do things the wrong way and then get approval from the Forest Service to go out and, you know, run a legitimate business to help keep the public safe and provide an opportunity for the public to get out there and enjoy it. You know, the Forest Service is to some degree looking out for our public lands and the public at the same time, and to get permitting through them isn't a super easy task. And so, you know, you guys are doing it the right way and approaching it, and I'm sure it'll come through for you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate that. And you're right. It's taken quite a bit of effort.
Yeah.
The one thing that to mention and touch on that you touch on is the fact that that's something that I didn't realize, but now that we've built it, it's huge. The permitters that we've worked with more directly, it's really interesting now that we've been working with them for a year, how much different the relationship and conversations are now than what they were when we first started.
Yeah.
And so now that we've built that relationship and we're starting to gain some trust, that, you know, when I say the avenues have led, it's not like it was last year where we were just like, oh, we're going to do this and just saying that we're going to do it. We've actually laid the groundwork. We've talked to the right people, and we're waiting for approval type stuff. And so it's really exciting for us. Nothing's a lock right now.
No, of course.
But it's really exciting because it's looking like we might be able to make something happen like we originally set out to do.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, guys, we've run this through to the end here, I think. Is there any other final thoughts that you guys have on your mind before we wrap this up?
No, we just got to thank Switchback Motors too for helping us get all these units, because they've been a big help as well.
That's great. No problem.
Yeah, on the Razor side, yeah, they've been a huge help, and then having everything in stock too has been a pretty big deal.
There you go.
Well, at least parts go.
Okay. Well, why don't you guys let everybody know where they can find you guys? If you have a website, Facebook page, Instagram pages, wherever they can track you guys down and hit you up for a rental, whether it be summer or winter.
StableMountain.com is the place to go. We'll have now that we've gotten our summer stuff in just this last week and have it available, this next week we'll have our stuff ready to book. And then, of course, winter stuff will be ready to book then. What's our phone number? Do you guys have that memorized off the top of your head?
Oh, crap. It's like 2,400. It's 208, like 6.
Drew's the responsible one. He's actually looking it up right now. So.
Yeah.
208
208 684 2400.
Awesome.
2400. Good job, Ryan.
Told you it was 2400. So
and feel free to reach out. Like if you have our numbers directly, you don't have to like call the business or
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's nice doing it that way because that gives the three of us the chance to respond and stay on top of it.
Yeah.
But if you want to reach out to us individually, like it doesn't matter to us. We just want you to have a good experience. We want you to be on the best machine you can be on, and we want it to be as convenient for you to get it as we can. We offer trailer rentals along with the vehicle rentals so you can get it to where you need to get it, or we can work out a delivery. We do deliveries as well. And Ryan and Drew snowmobile like girls.
he's just jealous that he doesn't get to ride as much as me and Drew. Let's just put it that way. He put like 200 miles on his sled, and I got like 1,200. So he's just jealous.
Well, he was probably
he got about 500, but
he's probably busy renting it out all season, right?
Yeah.
All right, everybody, let's go ahead and wrap this baby up. Appreciate you guys coming on. This is, as always, it's pure entertainment having you guys on, and the storytelling that you guys do is always amazing. And I hope everybody stuck it out and hung out with us to this point. And if you have, don't forget to share this. Get in to win on the Share and Win contest, and don't forget, live large, and God bless everybody, and have a great night.
God bless, indeed.